Okay, I am here. Finally. Sorry for being actually really late. Normally I'm like 10, 15 minutes later than I normally say I'm going to be, which I would imagine most people have just figured out. That is normal, but this is abnormal. My internet has been down. I don't know why, but our internet provider has been down for probably the last like 6 hours. um, until pretty recently. So now we're back up and running. I thought I wasn't going to be able to stream. I was waiting. Um, the internet provider said that they would be back up and running at like 10, which that, would have just said, sorry guys, that sucks. But we're here. Better late than never is the name of this stream, I guess. So it looks like my internet is also not very fast right now. Let's see if I can make it a bit faster. We are going to get faster internet um, in the next, like, probably couple weeks. So that will help, hopefully. If it doesn't, I want my money back. But, um, but yeah, the internet has been out. It has been a stressful day. I'm exhausted. I barely slept. I had family drama. And then I got a new gecko yesterday. Torin uh, may jump on to be on here. He usually is. And if I see him on here, I will like to say I've officially joined your club of escaped geckos. So I got a gecko yesterday for a project of mine that has been something I've been trying to work on for like years. And regarding a very beautiful gecko, I'll show it. And then I lost two of the females, unfortunately, after they laid a bunch of eggs. The eggs still haven't hatched for some reason, though. And then I got a new female. She arrived yesterday. This species is the best escape artist animal I've ever seen in my life. And I've had them escape before from a certain part of the enclosure. And I sealed that. And then I got this one, and she was so small, I'm pretty sure she escaped. So I've spent hours looking for her, sealing off every nook and cranny I can find it in those enclosures, putting out food for her if she is around. I'm like looking around the room. If you see me looking around the room, I'm trying to see if she's watching me. And I'll just see this little head that like peers over an edge, and they have a bright yellow head and a bright neon blue body. And that bright yellow, they live in bamboo forests in Madagascar, and they have this bright yellow head that they can put like around the corner or something, and they've got stripes on their eyes like a tiger, and it actually blends in with the bamboo, but then they use their bright colors for more communicative, you know, functions, I guess. But their head being yellow allows them to look at you in a bamboo forest and you not see them, but they'll hide their blue body, which is probably the brightest colored, if not one of the two brightest colored reptiles in the world. It's called the neon day gecko, and I have two males, but I have a bunch of eggs, and I have a female somewhere around here, and I don't know where she is though. She might still be in the enclosure just hiding, but I doubt it. They're very friendly, like they don't hide. So the fact that I didn't see her all day, I checked the enclosure, didn't find her, and checked the enclosure for holes and found very, very small holes, but that she might have been able to get out of. They're flat geckos because they live in cracks of bamboo, so they're very, very small. And they're widely known to be the best escape artist reptiles that exist. Like, there's nothing that comes close to them. People say that snakes are escape artists. Snakes are nothing. I haven't had a snake escape in like 20 years. And, I haven't had geckos or anything really escape in like 20 years. But these things, when I first got my males, I put them in the enclosure. And I was just in my room and I was looking at them. This was a couple of years ago. And I just saw one crawl across the enclosure, and I was like, that looked like it was on the outside. And then I kind of just waited to see, and then I saw another one do it, and I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure that was on the outside. And I got up to go look, and sure enough, they had found a little hole in the back, and they escaped. But I clogged that hole, and now they have found others. This one's smaller, so she can fit in the holes that the other ones cannot. And that has been the problem. Hopefully, I find her. That would be wonderful. Hopefully, she's still in the enclosure, but I don't think so. So that's where I've been, and it is unfortunate, but this is what they look like. Come on, internet. Here we go. Just so you can see how neon they actually are. This is them. They are spectacular. Spectacular. They really look like this. Like that. Or it's a better picture. Here. This is Clint from Clint's Reptiles. His Asperger's is off the charts, but it is definitely a superpower that lets him, have his channel. He's very, very popular. He talks about reptiles. And that guy's crushing, by the way. Like, he has wife and kids and a show, and like anybody that thinks that like you can't succeed socially just because you have like Asperger's or something like that, like Asperger's the tendencies, it's all a spectrum, so it doesn't really exist. But yeah, in objectivity, but you know, because it doesn't exist in objectivity, it doesn't actually slow you down. And anybody that says that it can, that's nonsense. People, my dad thought I had Asperger's growing up, but that's just because I talked about snakes and he didn't care. And he thought that I didn't realize, but I did realize. I just didn't care that he didn't care. This is a neon day gecko. They're so gorgeous. They're endangered in the wild, but in captivity they do great. And they live with their babies and everything, which that's pretty rare for reptiles. So this is the next gecko that I am getting. I've had them before, but I need to get them again. This is a electric blue day gecko. It is the only rival to neon day geckos. Look at that thing. It's probably like 3 inches long, and it is the bluest animal on earth. This is what they look like, right? Like that. That is incredible. Imagine that, like 3 inches. It's so bright you can see it from like 100 feet away. Those are next. But first I need to find this other one. Look at that thing. God is great. Like, why would he make such a spectacular animal? It doesn't blend in with anything. It just is extremely bright for the sake of being extremely bright. And blue is actually an extremely rare color in reptiles. I don't know why, but it just is. It's a very rare color in animals in general. And unless you're a fish, probably. Isn't that interesting? It's a bright blue gecko with an orange belly, and orange is the opposite of blue on the color wheel. So it's literally just a bunch of opposites. It's literally made to be as contrasting and bright as possible. It's amazing. But by the way, if you want to know how small these things are that are escaping, that's how small they are. They're literally the size of a bug, but flatter. Flatter, faster, smarter, cuter. Look at that thing. It's probably one of the cutest animals that exists. I'm not like a cute animal person, obviously, but like, I mean, my dog is pretty cute, but that is adorable. It doesn't matter if you like reptiles or not. It's objectively adorable. This is not going to be that intense of a stream. I wanted it to be because, and maybe it will be, because I know that uh, Ethan had sent me or was going to send me things on Discord that I wanted to discuss. Let me see, maybe we can find it. But it just was such a crazy day because my internet went out and I lost a gecko. And I have two more geckos arriving tomorrow, very similar to this, and or that I have to pick up tomorrow. And like I had to prepare for them. It's just been a lot today. Doesn't look like I got anything from Ethan either, though. So, but we can just talk about really anything. This is going to be a very low key stream. It's not going to be very long because I have to get back to work. I literally had to stop working early today because I lost internet. So I need to get back to it. But I will show you this. So one of these days, I'm going to talk about weapons. It's not going to be this stream because it's going to be a stream that actually occurs. Oh, you sent him to me on Instagram. Okay, okay, I see. I see. I will check in a minute. But one of these days, I will talk about weapons because I think weapons are very important for men to understand. And I have been a martial artist my entire life. Everybody knows I like pocket knives, but this is not a weapon for me. This is a just a tool. I open boxes with this. I fidget with it. This is a weapon. This blade is designed by Kyuku Matsuda, and he's a master bladesmith, a Japanese bladesmith. He didn't make this, he just designed it. It was made by Sog. He does make knives, but they're 10 times the price of this one. If he makes it, and it looks pretty much the same. But this knife is a weapon. It is not a... Luckily, I've never had to use it. I hope I never have to use it. I have much better weapons than this. This is like a last resort type of weapon, except I do carry it legally on my hip sometimes when I go hiking with Paulina. If I cannot carry a gun and we're hiking in mountain lion areas, then I will carry it because we have lots of mountain lions here, and they're like pretty common. My friend saw them multiple times last weekend, and I was in that same spot with them. I just didn't see the mountain lion because I got there the next day. But I've seen them in Arizona. They're around, but you don't want to be empty-handed. But that's part of what I'm talking about. Is I'm going to discuss how men need to be have an understanding of weapons. Doesn't have to be your life like it is me, to some degree. I've studied martial arts for like decades, and of all kinds, including swordsmanship, and that is what I'm going to show you. Something cool. Over the past year, I've been working on a custom sword that I'm having made for me. I studied Japanese swordsmanship and fencing, but Japanese swordsmanship mostly, and for probably like close to 10 years. And I'm having a sword made, and I'm going to show... I designed it. I'm going to show it to you. Because it's awesome. All right, come on. Definitely need faster internet. These things are downloading, but slowly. How is it that these companies can get away with what they get away with? These, like, internet companies. I don't understand. They're just such. It's basically monopolies, depending on where you live, and that's nonsense. Here we go. Elon Musk is ending that, but okay, here. This is the sword that I've been designing for kind of like a year. Sick. You know what's funny about this? Um, Dang, my internet is so. Dude, they're working on something, guys. I'm sorry. Um, but it literally wasn't up for like, uh, gosh, 6 hours. But this is the sword I've been designing. Um, Here we go. You can see it better. And for the past like year or so. And what's funny is I'm not artistic, like in other than like photography and maybe building like vivariums and aquariums and things like that, which is it's just living art, but it is art if you make it to be like a display. But this uh, right here, this it's called a tsuba, which is the it just is means guard. It's just the guard of the sword, so it's this part right here of a Japanese sword, and I used a pattern from my theory and essentially from sacred geometry. It's not just my theory, but to make this, and I went through multiple iterations, and then I ended up on this one because it's simple enough, it's elegant enough, and it's not too difficult to make. This is going to be the guard. It's going to be titanium. It's probably going to have to be a different person that makes this, a different person that makes the handle, which is going to be made out of what's called G10, which is it's what all my knife handles are made out of. It's just a type of fiberglass. It's very durable. I like it. And then the blade is going to be made by a company in Missoula that makes very, very good like bladed weapons called Zombie Tools, which is a funny name, but their work is not funny. It's probably the most serious bladed weapons on the market, other than like totally custom thousands and thousands of dollar blades, which this will not be. But I mean, it will be expensive after everything's done because everything's so custom. But if you get a normal one from them, it's like hundreds, not thousands. But yeah, dope. It's gonna look sick. So this is made by them. This is another sword. And this sword is their shorter sword. And it is the dimensions of a sword, of the sword that is used more traditionally in a style of martial art called Togakade-ryu, which is a style that I studied, which was technically associated with like ninjutsu, but their ninjutsu is really part of the samurai arts. It's not separate. People are like, oh, it's ninjutsu. Ninjutsu is part of the samurai arts. There's kenjutsu, which is swordsmanship, ninjutsu, which is like all the normal arts, like jujitsu is one of them too. But it has, within the realm of ninjutsu, it's a little bit more, it has its own style a little bit, but it's not as practical these days. So it's not really focused on. But the dimensions of the sword that was used in it was a slightly shorter blade of about, I think this is a 23-inch blade, and then a normal size handle. This is made by that company in Missoula that's going to make my other one. And this is probably as serious a sword as you can get. Like this will chop a traditional katana in half. It's made of 5160 spring steel. You could bend this thing into 90 degrees and it would not break. It would just go right back. And you can, I've seen videos of people using not this one, but a very similar blade that they make to this, chopping the top off of a car. It took them over an hour, so it's not like they just chopped it, but like they hit it and hit it and hit it, and they went through rotation of multiple people. Well, people got tired, but they chopped the top of a car off. And it was an old car with steel that was made of steel from like the 80s, not like, you know, the plastic crap that we have today. But it is a very serious weapon. And it's uses all modern materials, not like I like weapons with modern materials. I don't like to if I have the choice of only having one, I'm gonna choose a weapon with modern materials, not ancient. Traditional katana is made. It has same, which is like it's stingray skin. It's leather from stingrays. That's what the handle is made out of, and it's wood that's wrapped in stingray skin, and then that is wrapped in silk, and then it's called a saya in Japanese, but it's just the scabbard of the sword is wooden in a traditional katana, but that's not good because one, it holds water. Two, you can cut straight through it and cut your thumb off if you draw it wrong, and it will just not last. That's made of kydex. Kydex is practically indestructible. That whole sword is basically indestructible, and so, yeah, I don't understand. If you purposely use ancient materials in your weaponry that you own, it's a toy to you or a collectible. It's not a tool. Like my stuff is a tool. There's a rifle over there that I don't know if I can pick it up and show you guys because YouTube might cut me out. But I carry whenever I'm legally able to carry a gun. I have this is a weapon. This is not a tool. This is not a tool for opening boxes. It's called a karambit. Like weapons are important to understand, and we're going to talk about them. But I kind of wanted to just show off that sword that I'm designing because it's very cool, and people are like, what's the application of the theory of everything? It's like, I used sacred geometric patterns, which sacred geometry and the patterns of it are the patterns of the theory of everything in two-dimensional geometry. And like you can use them for design. Look at that. That's amazing. I can't believe I designed that. But the reality is why it's so good is because I didn't design it. God designed it. I didn't. That's the difference between when you use sacred geometry patterns versus not. If you do, then God designed it. If you don't, then, you designed it. Sometimes that's good, but it's not ever as good as what God designs. Dang, look at that. That is a sick blade, man. This groove right here is called a bowhide. People call it a blood groove, and people say it's like to catch the blood and make it so this blade doesn't get stuck in a body. That's not true. It's called a bowhide in Japanese, but it's just a fuller, which means it's used to lighten the blade, make it lighter. That's it. And when you cut, the angle that you cut is very important. If you don't cut at the perfect angle, you won't actually make the cut. It'll bite into whatever you're trying to cut, but it won't cut through it. And in a traditional katana, you can actually bend the blade very easily. But when you're practicing, you want to hear this like swoosh sound when you cut, if it's a perfect angle. If it's not, then you'll hear like a. But if it's a good one, it's like you're cutting the air versus like you're just like, I don't know, using a fan fast or something. And that will tell you whether or not you're cutting at a good angle when you're practicing. And it's much easier to hear it if you have a bowhai or a fuller, so it helps you practice. But sick. My sensei was always telling me to get a what's called a shinken, which is like a a sharpened sword. That's some sacred geometry right there too. That I mean, um, and a shinken. This is a shinken that I'm getting, but so is the one I just showed you. Shinken is just a sharpened sword that you can. I mean, it's a weapon. Then there's something called an iaido, which is a unsharpened sword that they use for practice a lot in like classes. But most people have a shinken that is, or a katana that is made traditionally, and I think that's stupid. I mean, it's not stupid to get that, but it is like it is remarkable to me that like men don't have swords these days. It's funny because like we all watch movies. All men watch movies, and every single one of them, every single man that watches a movie or a show, and it takes place in the past or something, whatever, and they're all like, there's like the cool guy who's like the protagonist, and he walks around, he's got a sword always, and it doesn't matter whether or not it's Jamie from like Outlander, or like I don't know, like people from uh any any plot that takes place, more than 100 years ago. And the men who are cool and the protagonists and the antagonists always carry a sword, and it's just normal. And we look at them and we're like, you just assume that you would be that guy, and everybody thinks that if a man asked another man, would you carry a sword? They're like, yeah, I would carry a sword. No, you wouldn't. Like, no, you wouldn't. Like, if you don't actually, like, the people that carry a gun today are the people that carry a sword back then. And if you don't carry a gun today, then you wouldn't be the person that carries a sword back then. Um, Practicing with a sword today is a little bit niche, but practicing with a gun is the same thing as practicing with a sword, and carrying a gun is the same thing as carrying a sword. And if you aren't the type of person that would carry a gun or owns a gun, you would not be the type of person that carried or owned a sword at all. But you should be if you're a man. Gosh, the stream is terrible, isn't it? But I can send it on Discord. That'd probably be helpful if you sent it on Discord. I dreamt of being a sword maker as a little kid. I will be a sword maker. I will make a sword. Like, I ordered a little just knife that doesn't have a handle, and I just a cheap one, and I ordered some handle making material, and I'm just gonna practice. And I have made handles for my some of my like pocket knives before, just a couple. And I don't have power tools that are good at it, like a Dremel or anything like that, so it takes me a long time, and it's not like ideal. Sanding fiberglass sucks, and you really don't want to get it in your lungs. Sanding it by hand really sucks, but I have done it, and I want to be good enough to forge my own knives one day. I will be, but it's just I don't know when. You have to have a backyard where you can have like a little mini forge. It's very easy to make a forge, but you have to have a yard. Mostly, it makes it easier. But it's not an expensive hobby to get into and like mess with. It's if you want to make it incredible pieces, then yeah, sure, it'll be expensive. But like you're not going to do that from the start, so it doesn't matter. But yeah. The best weapon, though, of any weapon, my favorite. This is the best weapon. This is my bow. We'll do a full stream on this one day, because what a weapon is very important to understand. It's very unique among tools. It is a specific type of tool that has to be even more part of you than any other tool, because the task that it's involved in is the most important tasks that you could be involved in. It's the defense of your life or the defense of the life of another. And so it has to really be a part of you in that moment. And um, this is my favorite weapon that I own. It is a bow. The bow is a stick that is about the same length as you are tall, and it comes in a variety of materials, and you can pick. This one is what the material of all the stick weapons that I have. That it's called skin on rattan, and there's rattan that has the skin off, and then there's oak, and then there's ipe, and there's all different kinds of woods. Oak is like the heaviest and the strongest, and a hit from oak, it'll shatter your skull. This could too, but this is it's extremely light. Like, I'm like, you can literally like, it's just so ridiculously light, but it's extremely, extremely strong, and it's very, very fast. And keeping the skin on it helps protect it against moisture. But if you're going to pick out a bow, other than picking out what material you want and making it sure that it's about the length of you, it can be 6 inches longer, 6 inches shorter, depends on what you want. But is put it on the ground and roll it across the ground. And if it wobbles and it goes whoop, 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 then it's bent, and that's not a very good one. So then find another one, put it on the ground, and if it just rolls, then it's straight, and that's a good one. So when I picked that one out, I went to the martial arts store down the street from here, and many years ago, and I had put all of them out on the ground, and that are that material, and I was rolling them across the ground, and the people were looking at me like, "Are you crazy?" I'm like, no, like, not crazy. I'm just picking a good one. But a bow is just the most quintessential tool. It's just a stick. And the next quintessential tool is knife. Like that. I wanted one of the Lord of the Rings replicas so bad. Sent it in Discord. Cool. Uh, yeah, the thing about a sword is like, or any weapon, but especially a sword or a gun, my rifle represents me. I don't know if I'd be allowed to show it on here. I think so. I don't know. I'm gonna Google it. Can you show firearms in live YouTube streams? YouTube doesn't allow live streams that show someone holding, handling, or transporting a firearm. So I could mount it on the wall behind me, but I can't hold it. Isn't that nonsense? Like, I can show you this all day long, and you don't care on live even. You know how devastating this weapon is? Cut someone's head off. I'm like 100% positive of it. I saw someone use the exact same blade on a deer carcass, and it cut it clean in half. And your neck is much thinner than a deer. And so, like, this is not a toy, but they let you show this, even if they don't let you show a firearm in a live YouTube stream. It's nonsense. It's such nonsense. It's so stupid. And it's just because the people who are making these social media platforms are not people who understand weapons. And that's why we're going to talk about them, because it's a very important part of growing up and being an adult man, is like embracing and owning and training at least a little bit in the use of weaponry, because it is your responsibility to protect people around you. And if it's your responsibility to protect the people around you, your family, your friends, your neighbors, the random people walking around next to you. It's your responsibility to protect them. It's not cops' responsibility. It's not. The Supreme Court has stated it. It's not cops' responsibility to protect people. Cops have a responsibility to show up after violence has occurred, not before, not during. They do show up during. They don't have a legal responsibility to show up during. They just are supposed to show up after. And they can choose to show up during, and they shouldn't show up before because that's some Minority Report bullshit. But it's not their responsibility to protect people. It's yours if you're a man. That's just a fact. But we're going to talk about it on a stream that's specific because this one is not the one. I think I'm going to hold off on the on showing your clips. I mean, I'm going to look at them now for me, but we'll probably show them again in depth and talk about them on another stream because this one, the internet is terrible and people are not on it because it's later, and I want people to see that stream. This is kind of just like riffing on the various things going on and planned, but I do have to get back to working because, like I said, my internet went down, so I have to get back to it at some point soon. Tom Campbell, MBT physics experiment. Okay, I remember. At Theory of Every0ne clips, definitely watch the intro. Your name pops up. Oh, that's cool that he tagged you in that. That's very cool. I didn't see that. That was on my wedding day, so I wasn't paying attention to the internet. What are the odds that happens on my wedding day? Probably 100%. Dang, I want to find that gecko. I looked everywhere, guys. I left food out for it. It can get food. It has water that goes off. Like I'm like looking at where water comes out of this misting system. It can get to water. So there's no reason for it to die, even if it has escaped, if it doesn't get out of the room. But little bastard. She got out. Gonna have to name her Houdini. I'm like looking around because she's watching me right now. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Wherever she is, she's watching me. And I'm just looking for this little head that's like, just looking. Yeah, we're going to wait to talk about that on next week. We can talk more about it tomorrow in the Discord call. But I just want that to be on a better stream than this. It's a pretty horrible stream. I can see the video skipping. Tell me if it's clean, if the video stream is like continuous or if it's glitching, because it looks like it's glitching to me, but I can't tell. So let me know in the chat. Anybody who's watching still. But yeah, if you're a man, pick a weapon to be competent in. Ideally, at least a firearm, and you should own knives. It's funny, like no man carries knives. It just blows my mind. Like I carry 2 knives everywhere I go. At least one always, but usually 2. I usually carry this. I highly recommend a Leatherman. Go to leatherman.com, pick out the one that you want. This is a Skeletal. I highly recommend it. It's got pliers, it's got everything, screwdriver, blade, bottle opener if that's what you need. And then if you need a knife, I recommend a Spyderco Para 3. It's not a paramilitary. It's Para 3. It's probably the best pocket knife in the world that's just a knife. And it's literally like a yo-yo. It's like a yo-yo that if you screw up, you'll cut yourself. And trust me, you will cut yourself with the knives that you use and carry. But it's fine. Deal with it. Like, you'll cut yourself less and less over time. Just don't do anything stupid, and you won't cut yourself that badly. But, like, this is more essential to carry than than a phone. But men don't want to do it because we're like, oh well, yeah, I have scissors here. Like it's like I have scissors. It's on my desk. You can have scissors on your desk and also carry a knife. I recommend carrying a Leatherman. The pliers, it's so useful. The pliers are just as useful as the knife. Like it's crazy how useful pliers are. You don't realize it until you carry it, and then once you do, you're like, how did I ever go without this? It's kind of like before I had a smartphone, I was like, I'll never get a smartphone. I just used to say that. I was in college and I was like, I'll never get a smartphone. Everybody else had a smartphone, and I was like, I'll never get one. And then I got an iPhone 4. Everybody else was like on the 5, but but I got a 4, and I was like, I can check the internet, like anything on the internet. I can Google any question that I have whenever I want. It's not this like, abbreviated, watered down internet that you used to get on non-smartphones, like brick phones. Gosh, remember that? Like you'd Google something on like your smartphone or on your flip phone or your brick phone, and it would be like this abbreviated internet. If you had an emergency, essentially, but it wasn't like fun. And there was no social media apps. But yeah, it's once I got a smartphone, I was like, how did I ever not have this? The fact that you can have a camera with you at all times is probably the most useful thing about a smartphone. Is a good camera. It really does. I mean, it's a camera is an incredible tool. It helps you, keep track of things. You can literally just take a picture of something. The lighting setup that I have in here, before I learned what kind of worked ish, I still need to do work, but I need to get more lights, so it's not like shining down on me and casting shadows and doing glares and stuff. But with the 2 lights that I have, it works. And I would used to just take a photo of the lighting setups, and I do that all the time whenever I have some type of lighting photography project or something. Where is that little gecko? Like this thing that I'm looking for is the size of a bug, and its head is like smaller than a pea, and I'm just like looking for just the head, like just peered around like something, just looking at me, wherever, somewhere, because she is watching. It's just a guarantee. She's not just hiding in the back of something. They're not like that. They're always watching you. And they're very friendly, actually. Like, they'll take food from my hands and stuff. But I don't know where she is. She's new here, so she doesn't know where everything is. She doesn't know me. So she's not going to be as predictable. But I can predict that she's watching me. One day on Instagram, I'll give it a tour, maybe next week, of like my, like, we call it the Zudio. I haven't done that in a while, but I have like cages and misting systems and bromeliads and plants and all kinds of geckos and stuff, snakes. I'll give a tour of it. So I have like my desk. It is my studio too. Then I'm looking at a zoo behind you guys, essentially, but in front of me constantly. And they're always looking back. Look at this. It's amazing how, like, it's funny because snakes are seen as a very important symbol um, in the theory of everything. In everything from the double helix, which is the caduceus, which is the 2 snakes intertwining with each other across the staff, which is, the symbol of medical industry. And then there's essentially also this, which is the Ouroboros. I don't know how to pronounce that. Is an ancient symbol depicting a serpent or dragon eating its own tail. Originating in ancient iconography, it entered into Western tradition via Greek magical tradition. It was adopted as a symbol of Gnosticism and Hermeticism. Hermeticism is a label used to designate a philosophical system that is primarily based on the purported teaching of Hermes. His teachings are contained in various writings of Hermes. Hermetics, like lots of people are into Hermetics. It's like metaphysics. Thoth. Everybody's obsessed with like Thoth, who's into Hermetics. Hermetic philosophy is sometimes more restrictively called Hermeticism to distinguish it from other philosophies. It's a religio-philosophical system propounded by a specific subgroup of Hermetic writings known as the Philosophical Hermetic. Interesting. See, there's the caduceus. The serpent in the Torah is, what tempted Eve, and then Adam followed Eve. It wasn't and Adam was tempted by the serpent. It was that Eve was tempted by the serpent, and then Adam followed Eve. Really tells you, it explains a lot about men and women today. Men are acting the way that they are because they're following women instead of following truth. So, like, why do we shave our faces? Is it because we like it? No, it's because it makes women feel safe in corporate environments. Not just safe, but like equal. Women don't feel equal to men who have beards. They just don't. Like in the office environment, they just are intimidated. It's just a fact. It's very strange, but it's also makes perfect sense. And shaving your face is to not be intimidating. It's not to make women feel safe. It's to make them not feel intimidated in an office environment. The skin sloughing process of a snake symbolizes a transmigration of souls. A snake biting its own tail is a fertility symbol in some religions, and the tail of the snake is a phallic symbol. The mouth is a womb-like symbol. Cycle of life and death, rebirth. Whenever you see the dragon in like Eastern cultures, Chinese dragon. A Chinese dragon looks like a snake. It doesn't look like, the dragons of Europe. It's a serpent, obviously, and that's what we have the serpent, which is a snake in the Bible, and Eastern cultures have the dragon, but their dragon is a serpent. Like, come on, that's a snake. It's not a flying dragon. It's a snake. It's a snake with arms. But what's interesting about snakes is that I've always liked snakes, and they have been my favorite animal forever. And the reason why is because to me they always seemed like the perfect machine. There are flying snakes. They don't really fly, they glide though. Flying snakes. They're beautiful too. Like, some of them are just stunning. But they literally jump and glide. They spread their entire body out flat and they can glide. It's amazing. But they're also beautiful. Look at that. It's called a paradise tree snake, which is also, it is a flying snake. And that's one. There's also snakes that purely exist underwater for to be in the water. Sea snakes, they can't even move on land. This snake can't even move on land. It's on land because it washed on shore, but it will die if it doesn't get back to the water. And it's not going to be able to do that on its own really very well because it has no belly scales that grip the ground. And they're just flat. Like, their tail is flat. Look, it's literally a paddle. It's amazing. It's one of my favorite snakes. Yellow-bellied sea snake. Golden. This is what I'm going to go with Paulina to find in Costa Rica. They are super toxic, but I don't know if anybody's ever died. They just know they're very toxic because they've measured the venom. But people don't get bit very often. But look at that thing, man. If I could keep any deadly, deadly, deadly snake, it would be that. They can't move on land. Just keep them like a fish, but not exactly like a fish. There are some considerations. They actually can't even drink salt water. They drink rainwater because the fresh water is more buoyant than salt water, and so it sits on the surface of the ocean. When it rains on the ocean, the fresh water sits on the surface. And so they go up to the surface and they drink the water at the surface, which is fresh water. But this is what they normally look like. And then there's a mutation in Costa Rica that makes them bright yellow. Look at that. It's amazing. I'm going to find some. I'd love to take them home, but that's not allowed. And if you do get bit, you are fucked. Like, just nobody gets bit. Because why, how would you get bit? You'd have to grab it. Most people aren't that stupid. But look at how bright that is. It's literally glowing. But snakes are the ultimate machine. Look at their... this is a gaboon viper's fangs are the biggest fangs in the world. Look at that. They can be like 3 inches long. It is a super dangerous snake. It is incredible. Like, those fangs are so big. It is so intimidating. It's nuts. And they also have the best camouflage of probably any animal on Earth other than like a certain kind of gecko. Because they look exactly like leaves. This is what they look like. But when it's in the leaves, look at that. Can't see it. Good luck seeing that. That's amazing. So snakes can glide. They can have paddles for tails. They can like totally disappear into the leaves. They can have super long hinging fangs. They can also spray venom. So look at this. This is why they're the ultimate machine. There is no other animal on Earth like snakes. None. Spitting cobra. Slow motion. I spelled motion wrong, but look at this.
Look at these 2 snakes.
This is called a ringcalls. It's very closely related to a cobra, but it's not. It has live babies, keeled scales, and it's not the best spitting snake in the spitting cobra in the world. This is a red spitting cobra. It's a true spitting cobra. all true cobras are in the genus Naja. This is not in the genus Naja. This is, but this can spit from any position, and it's like 100% accurate. And this one has to rear up and kind of like throw itself forward, and you'll see that here.
At first glance, they look pretty similar. They're both cobras, both are rearing up, and both are spitting venom at a plastic face. But you might be surprised to learn that these two seemingly similar snakes are separated by 14 million years of evolution. And, like when they diverged, cobras couldn't spit venom at all.
That's amazing.
Two different branches of cobra, African and Asian, and wrinkles, all evolved the ability to spit venom completely independently of each other.
That's amazing.
And research into why this happened could unlock secrets not just about the evolution of snakes and their venom, but about our own evolutionary history too.
Look at that. They are amazing. Like, here, look at this.
2,400 species of venomous snake around the world, with about 400.
That's probably my favorite snake. It's a green mamba. It's very dangerous, but so is the red spitting cobra. Is also one of my favorite snakes.
And this provides us with a comparative framework so that we can compare whether these different lineages of spitting cobra have all evolved the same types of defensive toxins, or whether different lineages
Look at that thing.
have come up with their own solution.
Look at that spraying venom. It's literally like a super soaker of like blinding, you know,
It shows how each snake
toxin.
Direct
They're absolutely amazing. There's nothing like snakes in the world.
these three groups of snakes. And it's this fundamental question that we're going
Like if you think about the intricacies and the fascinating realities involved with developing an advanced venom delivery system in your mouth, like when it's not normal for, you know, the type of animal that you are, for a vertebrate to be able to bite something and you know, inject venom, that's much more normal for like arachnids or something like that. But you know, every spider has venom. That doesn't mean every spider is dangerous to you. That's not true. But every spider has venom. That's not true of snakes, or like vertebrates in general. There's one venomous mammal. It's the platypus. It has venomous spurs on its back legs, and it can stab you with it. And it hurts a lot, but it won't kill you. It's kind of like my beaded lizard over there. It's going to ruin your entire day, and maybe your next day, maybe the day after that, but it's not going to kill you. And then that's because the venom is designed, whatever, to inflict pain because it's a defensive venom. Snake venom is not for to inflict pain. Snake venom has been designed or evolved to kill because it's used to hunt. It's a tool for hunting. It's not a tool for defense at all. Where like it is with that lizard over there. That's why that lizard won't kill you, but you're going to have a horrible time. It's going to be the most painful experience of your life if you're bit. That if you get bit by a venomous snake, until your skin starts rotting off, it's not going to actually be very painful. But it will kill you. You know, you can get bit by a black mamba. You won't experience any pain. You will die though. There was a guy he was a snake guy on YouTube. He was live streaming all the time. He was depressed because his girlfriend broke up with him, and she had basically like told everyone on YouTube that like he hit her or something like that. I don't know. And he was just distraught about the whole situation and about being judged, which was wrong. And also, you know, I'm not saying he shouldn't be judged, but I'm just saying it's not really our place. And you know, I think it was kind of, I'm guessing it was exaggerated. I don't think he was like a wife beater or anything like that. And I don't know the details. It doesn't matter. But he was a snake guy. That was what he did for his YouTube channel. He pulled his black mamba out while he was live streaming, had it bite him, and then didn't die on stream. He was dying on stream. He's like nodding off. And then somebody called the ambulance. And they got there too late, though. He died. So he killed himself with the black mamba on YouTube live stream. Crazy. Like, snakes are amazing. They are amazing. They are the ultimate machine. There's nothing else like them, not birds, not fish, not insects, not arachnids. There is nothing like snakes. And I don't know. I think it's because they don't have limbs that their entire body has become so variable in its abilities. They can flatten themselves out. They can, a rattlesnake has a rattle. That's a very unique thing. Only rattlesnakes have rattles. There's no other snakes that have rattles. Lots of snakes shake their tail, like as if they did have a rattle, but there's only one snake that has rattles, and it's rattlesnakes. And they can see heat. Boas and pit vipers and pythons can see heat with two heat pits that are right here for pit vipers, and then the heat pits there's multiple of them along the upper lip of pythons and boas, and they can see infrared. So some snakes can see infrared, some snakes can kill you by biting you, some snakes can blind you by spitting at you, some snakes can jump off, trees and cliffs and glide. Some snakes can dive to hundreds of feet, if not thousands of feet underwater. I think the sea snakes have been tracked to over 1,000 feet. That's insane. That's insane. Almost their entire body is a lung. Snakes have two different size lungs. One's big, one is small. But sea snakes are like a giant lung. And snakes are incredible. They shed their skin in its entirety. They just done. Like, how fascinating is that? They can climb and swim and dig and do everything that we can do almost, or that most animals can do almost, essentially, without any limbs. Which is why I think their body develops so many different adaptations. And this is not found in any other animal. There's no birds that can spit venom into your eyes and bite you and kill you, or dive to 1,000 feet, or glide off of a cliff. Birds can pretty much do, one thing. They can fly. Some of them. And that's it. There's nothing else about birds that's special and unique. Or that, I mean, really, there isn't. They've got feathers. That's basically halfway between fur and scales, but that's not that unique. There's nothing unique about birds compared to snakes. They don't have the variety of tools at their disposal. There is actually one kind of snake that's poisonous, and poison is different than venom. Venom has to be injected into your bloodstream in order to kill you. Poison has to be ingested in order to harm you. So it has to be absorbed. Poison is either absorbed through the skin or is ingested by eating it or smelling it or something. But venom has to be injected into your bloodstream. That's the difference between venom and poison. There is a snake that is venomous and poisonous. It excretes poison on its back. It's called a keelback snake. And then it bites with venom and can kill you. That's fascinating. There's nothing else like that. It's not that, and what's weird is it's not that all snakes have these things. It's that these snakes have this, and 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 these snakes have this. There isn't really a general snake outline other than no limbs, scales. That's it. There's really not much else that unites snakes, but it looks like they are united because none of them have any limbs and they all have scales, so it's kind of, that's a general outline. But snakes probably vary in their phenotype and morphology and physical abilities more than any other group of animals on Earth. That's actually 100% true. There's nothing else that comes close to that other than fish, maybe. And the thing is fish there's not just fish, okay? Fish is not snakes. fish is like reptiles. Like there's lots of kinds of fish. There's eels and lionfish and salmon and like guppies. Like they're not all the same. There's bony fish and sharks. They're not the same. Like so sharks would be like snakes would be like sharks. It's not that you can't equate fish to snakes. You can equate fish to reptiles. But so even still, there's nothing that comes close to a snake. And I think it is because they have no limbs. So they can't manipulate the things around them with limbs. Because of that, they have to develop abilities that of their body that are very varied and allow them to accomplish tasks with no limbs that no other animal could accomplish, and simply because they have no limbs. So their scales vary to their lifestyle. Their morphology does. Their venom does. Some of them have live babies. Some of them have lay eggs. Like there's nothing that varies like snakes. It is the ultimate machine. Like it's the ultimate machine other than a human, which is a machine maker. It's like a user, and then snakes are the constructor. If we, like we talked about last night. But snakes are really sentient beings, so they're users. I'm going to get a snake actually. But okay, here's a snake. Hopefully this one doesn't bite me. Oh, it's totally gonna bite me. You little bastard. Oh, yeah, he's biting me. Oh, wow, 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 wow. This little shit. Do you see this? This is venomous snake too, by the way. It's not dangerous venomous, but like, I'm not gonna let him sit here for very long because it could make you have like a reaction. I knew it. He like these things just like it's not a defensive bite either. He's not being mean. He's hungry. Ooh, they have these big fangs in the back. This is called a tricolor hognose snake. It is from South America, and he's not letting go. But I'm. Oh, come on. Oh gosh. This is. Oof. It's such a small little snake, so you would think that it wouldn't hurt, because I have other small snakes over there that wouldn't hurt if they bit you like this, but it's not like that because it's a rear-fanged venomous snake, so it does hurt. And he thinks I'm food, so he's got the fangs in. You didn't think you'd see this today. Okay, I'm gonna get you off there, buddy. This is ridiculous. Oh, come on! Ooh, 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 ooh! Shit! He really got those fangs in like that time. I'm gonna go and get this thing off. I'll be right back. Yeah. Little bats. That's hilarious. Yeah, snake have a snake, it won't let go. Let me turn the light up so I can see. All right. Well, dang. We did it. Hopefully that doesn't act up too much. That was definitely way more intense than I expected. Yeah. Get some. All right. So, fun stuff, right? That little bugger, like, has these big fangs in the back. So you can see it has, there's two marks there. If this was a non-venomous snake, you would see lots of little teeth, and you can see lots of little teeth. The reason why I couldn't get them off, by the way, even though it's such a small snake, is because I didn't want to hurt the snake. I really like that snake. And it's so small, it's very delicate. And so I wanted to be very gentle with it. But at the same time, I've never had one get those back fangs into me before. And it hurts a lot. It's not like being bit by other snakes. Like this snake right here. This is Leo. And once he realizes that I'm not food, he is actually very nice. And if he bit me, it would not hurt nearly as much as that tiny little snake that I could not get off. And I would be able to get him off because he has no fangs. Okay? Like, he has teeth, and it would hurt a bit, but like it wouldn't hurt nearly as much as what. And I don't want him to bite me because he'll smell the other snake. And this is a king snake, so it eats other snakes, and so he might want to bite me. Look at that. That tiny little snake did that. That's insane. I've never experienced that from a little snake in my life. So that's crazy. I was not exaggerating. Like, I don't exaggerate with snakes because I don't want people. It really hurts because it's got venom. I don't want people to like think of snakes as like. I don't like sensationalism with animals. It makes people. It's just not. It's just nonsense. It's stupid. So when you look at a lot of snake channels and stuff, people will be bit and they'll do what I did. Always with every snake, and you're like, this is ridiculous. Like, if you keep snakes, you're like, you're getting bit by a king snake. It doesn't hurt that much. I see the gecko. She is still in the cage. Yes! Yes, that is awesome. Guys, holy crap. This is a great day. Even with this, that really hurts. So this snake, I know that hognose snakes have fangs. So look at this. This is what they have. If you're wondering what got me, snake fangs. Hognose snakes are harmless, but they are venomous. And so, and their bite can actually be extremely painful for a not dangerous snake. And I'll show you why. So, right here. This is what got me. This is why it hurt so much. I was not being sensationalistic. That tiny little snake, I have lots of snakes over there that are baby king snakes that I've bred. If they bit me, I would laugh and I'd just peel it off. It's fine. But this is what a hognose snake has, okay? So, see these little fangs in the back? There's other teeth here too. You just can't see them because they're small. But then it has these giant fangs right here in the back. This is because hognose snakes are mostly like evolved or designed to eat toads. And this is toads puff up when they're being eaten, so they use this to pop the toads, honestly. And they have these huge teeth, though. Look at that. These, it's not teeth, it's a fang where venom comes out. And so even that tiny little snake has these two giant fangs in it. And if you let a hognose snake hold on to you because it thinks that you're food, like I just had happen, and the only reason why I did that is because I didn't want to peel it off and break its teeth, then it's gonna hurt like that. This is a Western hognose. It's not a tricolor hognose. But they all have these fangs in the back of their mouth, whereas a king snake does not have that. And even boas and pythons have big teeth, but not like that. This is a tricolor hognose. This is what just bit me. Okay, do you see this fang? This is what was so painful for such a small snake. I've never, ever been bitten by a snake that size and actually had it hurt in my life. Not once. That was the first time. And I knew that it could. I just don't let those things bite me. But I wanted to show you guys, and so I had to pick it up. I don't normally pick them up because I know they do that. They literally just start biting everything that touches them because they're always hungry. But this little fang thing here, this is what stuck me. And it's also the reason why I couldn't get it off, is because that hooks into you. So there's this other type of snake that I want, and it's called a kukri snake. And it's even worse. And it's another tiny little snake. Actually, this one doesn't even have venom, but its bite is still even worse. They are beautiful, though. I really want some, and I found a guy with them. But, kukri snake teeth. So, that's a kukri snake's teeth. They have, like, serrated teeth that are like steak knives, and it's because they eat reptile eggs, like little lizard eggs, and they use those teeth to cut into the eggs, because reptile eggs are soft usually, so those teeth cut into the eggs. Kukri snake bite. And I've heard it's very painful for such a small snake. Even babies right out of the egg, I've heard, like, dude, it's not pleasant. That's it right there. Look at that. See that tooth? And it's multiple. It's like 1, 2, 3 on the kukri snake. But they don't have the venom that a hognose snake has. And I do think that tricolor hognose, which is what I have that bit me, is slightly more toxic than a Western hognose, which is what everybody knows as a hognose snake. Like that. They are adorable. They have this like little cute like nose that's upturned. They are one of the few like cute snakes. You guys got quite a show today with the snake. That is so funny. So, hold on. This is a funny video. Here's me being bitten. Just to show you that I wasn't being dramatic. This is me getting bit by a much bigger snake that's got bigger teeth even, but it's just different. It's so funny that I caught that on camera. You know what I had to do to get it off? I had to fill up a bucket with water, put the snake underwater. I thought that would definitely get it off. I held its head under the faucet, basically waterboarded it. That's how you get a snake off. Still didn't work for the first time. That's the first time the snake has not let go. And then I had to put it underwater and literally go like this with my hand, like, and basically like peel it off, like slowly. But I've never, ever had a little snake or a big snake be that much of a pain in the ass. as far as biting goes. Like, I don't care if snakes bite. There are some snakes that defensively will crap on you, and I do not keep those types of snakes. But I will keep biting snakes. I just don't pick them up unless I'm trying to show it to you on a live stream. And then I get bit and I can't get the snake off. And I look ridiculous. But this video that I'm going to show you is I was taking a video of my carpet python male that I used to have, a jungle carpet python. It was about 5 feet. Here it is. And I was saying he doesn't bite because he had never bit me. And as soon as I say he doesn't bite, of course he bites. So here. And actually, what's so funny about this doesn't bite. This video, I had multiple companies that like sell viral videos, but try and buy this video from me. It went kind of viral and got like tens and tens of thousands of views, probably hundreds of thousands of views because it was reposted by other people. But it's on my Instagram if you want to see it. I didn't sell it, by the way. Doesn't bite. This is him. Doesn't bite. See, like how much that's a much bigger snake with much bigger teeth, and it still wasn't that much of a big deal. Just kind of like hurts for a second, and that's it. And then it doesn't hurt anymore. This bite that I got on my finger while I was showing you that that little snake, it still hurts. It's gonna hurt for hours. Like he cut into me. What a little shit. There he is. He still wants food. Look at him. He's trying to get me now. I'll feed him tonight. It's clearly he wants some food. Dang, man. It's funny, like I was bit by a vine snake, which is similar to a hognose snake years ago. In its venom and its teeth, it's similar to a hognose snake. It has big back fangs, and normally it doesn't hurt when they bite you. And they're from at the very, very bottom of Arizona. We have vine snakes in this country, actually, which is amazing. And you'd think they'd just be in the jungle, but they're actually exist in the trees, in the mesquite trees in the desert, right on the border of Mexico. And so I was with a herpetologist, and we were capturing them for the Chiricahua Desert Museum in New Mexico. And we'd caught two of them. Two funny things happened. One, I like put my hand out and it like was just mouthing, and I was like showing how they don't bite, and like it was just like they literally strike at you and they don't even bite down. And of course, like all day it was just doing that whenever we had to take it out. And then as soon as I like have somebody filming it, it just bites down on my finger, and it couldn't get it off very easily, and it started to sting just like that. That's very funny. I'm glad that I caught that on video. I'm gonna send that to some herpetologist friends of mine. But I put that vine snake in a bag, like a snake bag, which is basically like a pillowcase. There was a tiny little hole in it, and I was driving down the road, and out of the corner of my eye, I see this thing like flapping in the wind. And I had the window rolled down, and it had its tail, it had gotten out of the hole in the bag, had its tail wrapped around the seatbelt, and then it was outside the car flapping in the wind. And I pulled over and got it, put it in a new bag, and it was fine. But, like, it's just like flying in the wind. But vine snake is another snake that's like very unique. It's designed very specifically. And it's just the ultimate machine. It's designed very, like, perfectly for what it does. This is a vine snake. They come in different colors and patterns. The ones in Arizona are brown. But see this? See this tooth? They have the same rear fangs. So there's this group of snakes called rear-fanged colubrids, and colubrids are normally not dangerous, but there's a few that are. And this falls into that family. The hognose snake does. This is what the ones in Arizona look like. And they just kind of like sit there with their mouth open. This one is the African vine snake or twig snake. Theirs in Africa, everything is just more intense in Africa, are super deadly. And a very famous herpetologist was bit by one of these and didn't expect it to kill him. And he basically documented it, and it makes you bleed out of every hole in your body until you die. And it takes like 3 days to kill you. It's very, very slow death, and it's a type of snake that you would never think is toxic. So it bit him, and this was many decades ago. He had no idea, and he was just like, oh well, it's a vine snake, it's fine. And he died, and now we know that it will kill you. This is another interesting snake. It's called the stiletto snake. This snake has these types of teeth, and it looks like a graboid in Tremors, and it lives like a graboid in Tremors. It lives underground, is basically its entire life, and it eats little nestling rodents and things. And because in a hole in the ground you don't have very much space to like bite things, its fangs are so long that it can stick them out of the side of its mouth and inject venom into its prey without opening its mouth. So people usually will pin snakes behind the head, and you cannot pin this type of snake because it will just stick its fang out the side of the mouth and get you. Look at that. Its mouth isn't even open. And it's a horrible bite. I mean, your skin just rots away. But look at that thing. It's like a walrus. And everybody who's a herpetologist knows, like, if you pin that snake, you're going to get bit. And don't ever pin a snake behind the head. It's just so stupid. I'll never do it again for a venomous snake in my life. I've done it once with a rattlesnake. I almost got bit because it did stick its fang out the side of its mouth, not as well as this, but they can articulate their fangs like you can articulate your fingers. Vipers can, and it tried to get me with that fang, and it came within millimeters. It would have cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe cost me a finger, maybe cost me my life. You don't know. I have these, by the way, rubber boas. They're not dangerous, but look, their tail is blunt and they curl it like this, and they move it, and they make it act like it is a head. So what happens is when you find these in the wild, they're all scarred up because they get attacked by things, but they pretend that their tail is their head, and friends of mine call it the poop snake because it looks like poop apparently. But they wave this thing around, their tail around, and then their tail gets attacked instead of their head, and they can usually survive it. But a stiletto snake is basically like a venomous version of that. But look at that. It's like they're technology. Snakes are technology. That's what it is. And it makes sense that the serpent represents technology in the Bible, which it does. It's what tempts you to eat from the fruit of the tree of knowledge, which is, look at the back of your MacBook Pro or your iPhone. You'll see a bitten apple. It's because technology is the fruit of the tree of knowledge. And it's also the temptation of the tree of knowledge. Don't ever do this. I'm telling you, you will get bit. I did that. I almost got bit. I'll never do it again. And I know what I'm doing. Dang. This is the worst snake bite I've ever seen on.
Stevie Mackey, local coach for some of the world's biggest artists. Welcome to my monthly class. This class is an immersive.
No thanks. Um, this guy, these people are the snake, creatures, and this guy's dad died of a snake bite during a church service. Rattlesnake, canebrake rattlesnake, which is very serious, and he almost dies in this video. He gets bit on the temple. It is the craziest thing I've ever seen. So I'm just warning you. Like, it's very graphic. Most snake bites are not graphic, but this is. Here. This is a stupid, stupid decision of your life. Oh, did you see that? Holy shit. Watch this. Boom! Got him right in the temple. Look, there's already blood on his shirt because it hit like a vein or something. Honestly, I'm surprised the snake puts up with as much as it does. But look at that blood just dripping out. Like, that's not normal. He's been bit in a vein, and he almost dies. Like, he starts heaving, and he needs to be carried out. And everybody's, like, freaking out. He came so close to death, it's crazy. And his father died. Like, snakes are no joke. If you don't know what you're doing, just walk around a snake, though. That's the thing about snakes. You don't have to worry about them. As long as you don't step on them and you don't try and pick them up, you'll be fine. If you see a snake, just walk around it. That's it. It's not going to chase you. It's not going to bite you. Like, it's not. I need to get my ring off because my finger is swelling up from the venom of that snake. But if you don't pick up a snake or you don't step on it, it's not going to bite you. Dang, it's getting difficult to get my ring off. This is the thing about a wedding band, is they are not practical. I'm getting one of those, like, silicone rings because when I'm building something, I don't want to have this one on. But yeah, my finger is swelling up, and I'll be fine. But, like, look at how swollen it is, though. I can't articulate it. Holy crap. This is the most serious venomous snake bite I've ever gotten. I can't really move it. Like, beyond that. Like, it's not like I can go, like, all the way down. You can see, look at how swollen it is. You can see the fat, or the meat of my finger when I bend it. It'll be fine. I mean, I hope. I know it's not considered a medically significant, snake, but I also have seen some hognose snake bites that were, I was like, holy crap. That doesn't look fun. And I am amazed that a 6-inch long snake did that to me. I'm amazed. Touche. Look at how swollen it is. You can't really see it so well on camera, but, like, this is so swollen. I'm glad I got my ring off now, because I would not have been able to get my ring off in, like, 10 minutes. Dang. Jimmy Kimmel was wearing his wedding band, and it got caught on a desk while he was walking or something like that. Degloved his finger. It freaks me out, even like, hearing that story still. But holy crap, man. It's so swollen that, like, it's, like, stiffly swollen. I've never had a bite from a venomous snake this bad, which is good. This is not serious yet, at least, and I don't think it will be. But I've never had anything beyond a little bit of swelling and pain. And this is definitely the most swelling I've ever had from a snake bite. The only other snake bite that I had that was venomous in the past, I've never been bit by a hognose snake that actually got its fangs in until now, was the vine snake, which is neither one of these snakes is considered dangerous. Both of them are venomous. Neither one is dangerous. So I'm not worried. You don't need to worry. But it is interesting that we can share this experience together. I didn't think that this stream would be that intense. And there's only one person watching, it looks like, but like whoever that is, you got to show. It is glitching, but you could try restarting. Glitching, but the sound's still good. Talking about snake, any thought on what is going on around the world? The Antiguan racer. What about Antigua? Look for Antiguan racer. Oh, yeah. I mean, I know what that is. Are you from, like, Antigua? Because this is like an Antiguan racer is like a very like odd specific snake to be aware of. It's not dangerous. It's not, colorful. It's like I'm interested in them, but like most people aren't. They're just not. They're kind of like just kind of a drabish snake. They're cool though. If you're from Antigua, that's cool. I didn't know. I would imagine though. Otherwise, how would you even know what that is? It's not like a well-known snake. No hand to reach. Plus, I think they're not immune to their own venom. Most snakes are immune to their own venom. If not all snakes are immune to their own venom. They use their entire body. How was the wedding? The wedding was great, Nicholas. Like there is a video of the entire ceremony on here that you can watch on this channel that I put up last week. You can check it out. I had a traditional Nigerian ceremony, and then we had our Western Jewish-ish ceremony as well the next day. It was beautiful. It's so weird to see Paulina's name on Facebook as like Paulina Goldstein. It's just so weird because it really makes you realize like this is like a different relationship than you've had with anybody in the past. Dang, man, that's my finger's like a little sausage. Dang. It sucks that it glitched out. I'm gonna get off because it is so glitchy, but I hope that some of that was decent footage of me getting bit and like my sausage finger that I cannot put my ring on anymore. Little bastard of a snake. But good news is the gecko that I thought escaped did not. I could see it in the cage, or I saw it come out for a minute. I don't see it anymore. Good news. Icing on the cake. It's like totally reinvigorating. But I'm going to get off the stream, and there's clearly something wrong with the internet tonight, and I will be on the call for the Discord tomorrow at 7 p.m. If you want to join the Discord and be part of our live calls, we talk about it, all kinds of things. It's fascinating. Much more intimate environment than this. Everybody can talk, and just message me privately on Instagram, either my personal or Theory of Every0ne, and I will send you the link. But I will speak to you tomorrow on that, or I will see you next week. If I don't see you tomorrow or speak to you tomorrow, then Shabbat Shalom. And hopefully, if I don't show up next week to the stream, it means I died of hognose snakebite and that I was the first fatality. But